this topic is just so regurgitated that I'm probably going to be jumping from situation to situation as I remember it, because there's just so many different instances of this happening, and I feel like this pattern will repeat indefinitely forever. But as much as it does happen, it still kind of frustrates me, and I don't think I see people talk about this as much, or at least in the spaces I'm in. So, while this is not necessarily completely connected to art talk specifically, this is sort of something that happens in even just different spaces altogether that just kind of overlaps. Do bear with me when it comes to this, and I'll try to explain my frustrations in the best way I can. But I don't know if this is like a personal thing or just a personal gripe that I have with certain situations on TikTok or just any platform whatsoever as of late, but I think the way that people handle problematic creators is just, I don't know, they don't handle it in a way that I think really makes sense, at least from my standpoint. Keep in mind that I'm sure that it makes more sense for different people, but it just doesn't click with me. I don't understand why when it comes to problematic creators, the first thing people go for, or the first things that are regurgitated a lot, is anything to do with their appearance. And if it's not that, then it's, in Art Talk's case, art styles, like every other time. Instead of actually talking about what the creator has done, I just see people clowning on art styles. I guess it's a little bit frustrating because more posts are talking about that specific thing and harassing that specific part of the situation rather than the actual things that these creators are doing. So usually when I'm out of context when it comes to a specific creator doing something, I have to do my own digging myself or actually go down the rabbit hole. And when I do, I'm just mortified because, hello, there's so much more to talk about than just this person's face. I think it's a little bit bizarre just to be singling out those specific things, and I think it's very telling too about the creators, and the same patterns I'm seeing is when you have a trait that isn't exactly conventionally attractive, and that goes for art styles too, because there are conventionally attractive art styles, but dude, some people are just so outrageously mean, and I get that the person in question is a bad person, and that's mostly the case for all of these other creators. Is there's a bunch of really vile stuff behind their content, but it takes a lot of actual searching to find out anything about that, because every other post is just clowning somebody for the way they look or the way their art style looks. Can we be real and actually talk about the genuine problem? I don't know. In most of these cases, these problematic creators are being sensationalized because they feel justified in bullying them because of the actions they take. And another thing that's also pretty wild to me is it just feels like you justify that sort of bullying because, oh yeah, they did something really bad, so I can say these things about the person's appearance or the way that they dress or the way that their art style looks or the way that their face looks. And it's weird. It's so weird because you do realize that that's not the only type of person that has those same facial features. And there's a specific pattern, especially with anyone who has a thicker body type or is plus size in any way. People go after that immediately. Can we actually talk about what matters here? The information that should be important and should be highlighted is just never done properly or never really addressed. So instead, you kind of have to figure out, what did this person do to warrant all of this? And again, I don't think any of these creators that have had this sort of issue, at least when it comes to handling backlash, are innocent by any means, because obviously most of these people have done insanely disgusting stuff. One of the examples that I think I haven't exactly discussed on this channel, but every other time they're bringing this creator up, I have to roll my eyes a little bit, but it's Pumpkin Gentleman. And keep in mind, I don't like Pumpkin Gentleman as much as the next guy. I'm a huge advocate for knowing how your audience is and the demographics of your audience. So to be objectifying yourself and sexualizing yourself for your majorly minor audience is weird. But the other thing that people just don't talk about is like all of the other nasty stuff that he's done. And instead, they just talk about his art style or the very few face reveal quote unquote stuff that he's done. And I don't know. At this point, it just feels like they're dragging it onward. It's gotten even more insane recently, and I don't think I'll ever make a video on it, but apparently he's gotten doxxed, and I don't think I have to explain how insane that is, because allegedly he is a 16-year-old, and his entire family and all of his information is now just out on the internet. And that's mortifying because we don't even know if that's the actual creator. But I digress. Most of the stuff that I've seen is about his appearance or his art style and not about the actual things that he's done. So 90% of the comments, or at least a good portion of those comments, are like, what did this guy even do? Because they don't know. Because nobody talks about it. And I guess that's just one of my personal gripes about these sort of situations, is people use it as an excuse to shame specific features that they don't like. And you're no better. It's pretty disgusting, and I can't say I'm a fan of that, which is why, as of late, I just kind of don't keep track of any sort of dramas anymore, because all of the comments are essentially the same in that sense, where they're not actually talking about anything substantial. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, if this pattern is seen anywhere else, or if you've seen this yourself, how you feel about this sort of behavior, and everything else. I love discussing, and yeah, that's all. Sorry this was all over the place. Bye.